From this day young, forever be true. Cherish this life that's destined for you. Live your life with kindness and care. Remember, Allah will always be there, be there. Nikahun mubarakun, zawajun mubarakun, an-nikahu min sunnati.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. I welcome all of you. May peace, mercy and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be on all of you. This session is mainly dedicated for any questions in choosing a life partner, or how to have a successful married life, or after you're married if you have any problems as far as relationship between the husband and wife. So this session is mainly dedicated for that. This call doesn't mean that those who are going to get married, it's only for them. Even for those who have got married, it's for them also, so that they can see to it that the life goes on according to the Quran and Sunnah. So if the brothers have any questions on marriage, choosing a life partner, you can raise your hand, inshallah. Yes, brother.
Brother, today we see that unfortunately many marriages fail, even in Muslims and non-Muslims. It's quite common. In Muslims, we see that the ignorant people, those who are not practicing, we can understand. They don't have knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. But some cases we also come across wherein the practicing Muslim, the husband and wife, both are the practicing Muslim, yet they have problems in their life. So what would be your tips and tricks to save such problems and make it sure that the marriage life is happy and smoothly going ahead?
Brother, the question that nowadays we find that marriages are unsuccessful. We can understand in the ignorant people, but even in educated Muslims, even those who are practicing Muslims, they are not successful. So what are my tips? Point number one. If a marriage is not successful, it does not mean that the people are un-Islamic. Point number one. Marriage is not successful, immediate divorce. But natural, after all the pros and cons, I'm just even short. Because if you read the history of the Sahabas, many of the Sahabas and Sahabiyats, they divorced. Both were pious Muslims and Muslimah. So don't think that divorce is a stigma. If the marriage cannot be compatible, divorce part. But it doesn't mean both may be Islamic, but yet they may not be compatible. Both may be Islamic, but may not be compatible. That does not mean if marriage is not successful, they are not good Muslims. That's a different question. I say, if one of the two is understanding, it will be successful. But sometimes they may not be compatible. Both may be Islamic, both may be Quran Hadith, but yet they may not be compatible. I'm not saying that divorce was very common, but divorces were there. Not that every second one got divorced, so please don't get wrong information. But there were divorces taking place. What we realized that the Sahaba, the female companion and the male companion, they were both Islamic, but if 2 points didn't meet, they parted. He married someone else, she married someone else, no problem. So Islam is one of the few religions in the world which says divorce is possible and remarry. Though divorce is among the things which is the last resort. So point number one, not successful doesn't mean not Islamic. But yet I say, not successful also means not Islamic. Why? Because most of the unsuccessful marriages because of lack of deen. This example I'm giving one extreme. That Sahabas had knowledge, they were not compatible. Today, what I say, that if one of the two is Islamic and compassionate, divorce will not take, under normal circumstances, the marriage will be successful. If one of the two spouses is Islamic and is compromising, has sabr, marriage will be successful. There are stray cases where they may not be compatible, leave that aside. But generally the problem we have today is because of lack of Islamic knowledge. The problem we have because of lack of sabr. The problem is everyone thinks that he's right. And please take it, I don't know what has been told, please realize everything is not black and white. Most of the times, the husband thinks he's right and the wife is wrong. And the wife thinks the wife is right, husband is wrong. You ask me who's right? I said both are right and both are wrong. It keeps on changing. Both can be right, both can be wrong. You ask anyone हुआ डिवोर्स, क्यों डिवोर्स हुआ? अरे वाइफ अच्छी नहीं थी. You ask the woman, अरे husband अच्छा नहीं था. You'll never find an answer that I was not good. You interview 1,000 people, you may not find one also who will say that I was wrong. For all the divorces, everyone blames the other person. If you do introspection, what you have to do in married life, if suppose I was in the situation of my wife and the wife behaved the way I am behaving with her, ऐसी बात है. You put yourself in her shoes. Her shoes means don't wear a shoe directly. Means then you say it's haram to wear female clothes and all. No? That means like about, naraz ho gaye. You see your situation. If someone forces you, what will happen? So if you do this, inshallah, majority of the problem will be solved. And counseling is very important. With simple counseling. People put hadith leke aate. Hadith sahi hai, mashallah. But they don't quote the other hadith. They quote one hadith, not the other hadith. So what we realize, that the marriage is not successful because they don't know how compromising was the Prophet. How compromising were the wives of the Prophet. Yet, there is a verse in the Quran, if you know, in Surah Azab chapter 33, that when the wives are demanding too much, Allah reveals verses in the Quran in Surah Azab chapter 33, that if you want luxury of this world, we will free you immediately. Imagine Ummuhatul Mu'mineen. Ummuhatul Mu'mineen means they are the mothers of the believers, the best of the examples, right? For them, there is a warning coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who did the trouble? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is the best example. The best example woman, troubling the best example man. It's common, human. Verse of the Quran is revealed that if you want freedom, I will relieve you immediately. Talking about divorce, though the Prophet didn't divorce any of the wives, mashallah. Ummatul Mu'mineen, they're the best example. But husband, wife, it's bound to be there. Bound to be a little complaint. Don't think that none of the wives complained to the Prophet, and not that the Prophet did not. They're human beings. But be compassionate. And immediately they realize their mistake, and they ask for forgiveness. And Allah forgives them. So many cases. If you read Surah Tahrim, how did the wives, one wife got jealous, other wife? How did the Prophet took an oath, I will not touch honey? The verse was revealed, how can you make haram what is halal for you? So that means, that gives the example. We are talking about other relationship, this is a relationship. पर कैसी मुझे बीवी मिली? अरे कैसी मिली? अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अच्छी. You're telling me, you're complaining to Allah. So what you have to realize, that see the background and put yourself in her situation. She should put her in your situation. And that's how the life would be, mashallah, very smooth. There should be compatibility, and understanding each other very important. Hope that answers the question. Yes, brother. You have another question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother, what's the ruling on these Islamic matrimony sites, which are mostly scholars say that it's haram because hijab is not maintained over there, on choosing a spouse from the websites?
There's a question, what is my ruling on the matrimonial sites? Most of the scholars say haram. It will depend upon matrimonial site. Matrimonial site per se is not haram. You can say most of the matrimonial sites will be haram because then we put in the lady's photograph and all. So you can't say all matrimonial sites are haram. Right? No scholar will say all matrimonial sites are haram. If he says that, he's not a scholar himself. You can say most of the matrimonial sites may be haram because hijab is gone. But you can have a matrimonial site which is completely Islamic lines also. Like we have a marriage bureau, mashallah. No one can say what we are doing is haram. Everything on Quran, Sunnah. But when you go on the website, as the brother suggested, we have to take precaution. We can't do photographs. Here, mashallah, we hide the identity of the girl also. Only the information is there. And then we do matchmaking. It's more difficult, more tedious, more time consuming, but Islamic. साल में 50 नहीं करेंगे, 5 करेंगे, लेकिन सही करेंगे. You understand, na? So what you're talking about, you can ask me leading questions that can be a photograph from the right put on the, I said it's not Islamic. But there can be a matrimonial site which may not be putting photographs. But the way we do it, mashallah, everything halal. So, but it can be done. It's not impossible. Hope that answers the question. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Is Islam permit video shooting at the time of nikah or walima?
Brother asked the question, is video shooting allowed at the time of nikah? Video shooting per se is not haram in Islam, as long as you don't do obscenity, fine. At the time of walima, how are you having the walima? If you're having walima and they're shooting me having the food, perfectly fine. When they can shoot me giving a talk, they can shoot me having food also. But if you're having ladies and gents mixing together and showing to the world, it's not allowed. If you're having video recording of family members, brothers, sisters eating and showing, and only brothers and sisters watch it, it's fine. You can take a photograph of your wife, seeing to it that the Namaram should not watch her. Fine. So if you take a photograph of a wife and put it on the website, it's haram. So everything is subjective. So video shooting per se is not haram. But the question, why do you want to shoot a walima? Sorry? You asked for the sake of asking. So I'm answering for the sake of answering. Fine, but generally per se, you're having family gathering, you want to take photograph, family gathering. But always be careful when you're taking out a photograph with your family members. See to it that becomes your property. Don't show it to your friends. If you want to show it to your friend, show your photograph, not your wife's photograph. Therefore, when I go for lecture tours, I don't allow anyone to shoot me and my wife together. Want to shoot me, no problem. No, I want to shoot with your wife, sorry, I said. Well, the limit is there. And even internally, if the wife of my friend wants to shoot my wife says no. We are good friends. But when shooting is not haram, but photograph fine. I have taken a photograph of my wife, I've got it in my album, but that's for me to see. Fine? Yes, brother. Fire or fast.
What is the ruling of the second marriage if we are trying to keep it a secret, but we have no problems with the first wife, and secondly, we want to do justice with the both wife, but we want to keep it a secret, but so that the first wife doesn't get annoyed or something?
Brother asked the question that if a person who's married wants to marry a second wife, can he keep it secret from the first wife? The first wife is good.
Nikahun mubarakun, zawajun barakun.
What is the ruling of the second marriage if we are trying to keep it a secret, but we have no problems with the first wife, and secondly, we want to do justice with the both wife, but we want to keep it a secret, but so that the first wife doesn't get annoyed or something?
Brother asked the question that if a person who's married wants to marry a second wife, can he keep it secret from the first wife? The first wife is good. And he says that he'll do justice. According to me, it's not possible to do justice between both the wives by keeping it a secret. So for example, you want to go out, no, I'm going for business. You're going with the second wife. You'll tell so many lies. So according to me, if you keep it a secret from the first wife, you can't do justice. You'll tell so many lies. So many harams you'll do. And neither will do justice. So best is explain to your wife, taking permission of the first wife is not compulsory until she puts a condition in the nikah. You can tell her, this is the requirement. For whatever reasons, maybe you require one more wife, you're very good or whatever it is, the best is to convey the message. Permission is not required, permission is preferable according to me. But informing is further according to me. Further why? Because if you don't inform, you'll tell 10 lies. कहाँ जा रहे भाई? बिजनेस के लिए जा रहे? हाँ भाई ये भी बिजनेस ही है भाई. तो मैं झूठ नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. You understand now? So best is that you inform and explain to her. Fine, she may feel a little bit bad. And no woman would like sharing the husband. You have to agree with that. No woman would like to share the husband. But the Islamic ruling says it is preferable to take a small loss to prevent a big loss. A good Muslimah would not mind sharing the husband to prevent the other Muslimah from getting into public property, as you hear me answer. So good pious Muslimah would not prevent the husband from marrying a second. She may not like, but yet she will not prevent. And normally when you ask, there may be various requirements. Fine, maybe a husband will satisfy one wife, she may be very good. He may want second. But a wife would prefer a Jaldi karo. I'm not happy, but jaldi karo. So best is to be open, inform. Maybe she rejected, give her time, no problem. But I feel best is to inform, convince her, the requirement is there. Convince to look after her better. Possible, why not? First I will give 2 hours and I will give 2.5 hours a day. I'll give her also 2.5 hours. The managing is difficult, but so I feel permission is preferable. Informing is, I feel, more preferable. First I will not say because it becomes a fatwa, but you should say, so that you can do justice and it will be easy for you to do justice between both wives. Yes, brother. MashaAllah. All married people asking last. Yes, brother.
Can a wife use perfume when in confinement with her husband?
Can the wife use perfume, confine the husband, as long as difference of opinion is that perfume contains alcohol? If you have the view that perfume should not contain alcohol, then she can use perfume when you are there. The difference is that can you wear perfume wearing alcohol is a different question. But if that thing is solved, that she puts the perfume without having alcohol, in front of you there is no problem at all. There are scholars who say that wearing perfume is gathering, the mixed gathering and also, but natural, I mean attracting the opposite sex. But for you, no problem. Husband, wife, what you like, you tell her, no problem, no restrictions, as long as closed doors. Fine? No problem, what you want, you can be free. Islam permits you. Outside, the hijab is there. Inside, no problem, whatever dress you want, no problem, whatever dress she wants, no problem. Perfume, no problem. Makeup, no problem. But makeup is other men difficult problem. You like makeup, I makeup. Don't like, say don't like. Fine? So within, no problem. Whatever attracts, you should tell her. Whatever she finds attractive, she should tell. Freedom should be there. Hope that answers the question. Yeah, brother, last question before we end the session.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother, I would like to know what are the rulings for muta marriage.
What are the rulings for muta marriage? You ask me a question, what is the ruling for having alcohol? Fine? But there's nothing like what is the ruling for muta marriage. There's nothing like muta marriage in Islam. It was there before Islam was there. It was common in the Arab custom. People did practice it when the Prophet was alive. During the Battle of Tabuk, the Prophet put a band and said that muta marriage is haram. Muta means temporary marriage. Nothing like temporary marriage. Marriage should be permanent. Then if it breaks, it's up to Allah. You can't have a contract and marry you for one night or 1 week or 1 month. It's haram in Islam. Muta is totally haram. Hope that answers the question. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brother, my question is, if a husband has sex with his wife against her wishes, so does it be considered as if he has raped her?
Brother asked the question that if a husband had sex with his wife without her wishes, is it considered as a rape? Are you asking the question from an Islamic point of view, or Indian point of view, or the American point of view? Every country has its own rules and regulations. Islam has its own rules and regulations. In Islam, when a man is married to a woman, then but natural, a husband cannot rape the wife, generally. But natural, he should be considered. If he does force her when she's not willing, it may not be mustahab. So as far as the Islamic point of view is concerned, one is the Islamic point of view, one is the Indian point of view, one is the other government point of view. I am aware that in some countries, if a husband forces the wife against her wishes, it is considered as rape. There are some countries in the world which I don't consider to be right. Yes, if he does excessively, regularly, then you can say that he's not a good husband. But as far as the Islamic point of view is concerned, there's no question of it being considered as rape. But in the Islamic point of view, what we realize that a married, successful life is understanding between the husband and wife. Is not comfortable in one particular time or one particular night. She may not have the desire, and the husband forces. Surely it won't be considered as rape. But a compassionate husband would realize that the wife may not be feeling well. She may not be in the mood. So it is his duty as a good husband that he should understand the situation and say, inshallah, we'll have next time. And the hadith that is there, in which Habib Prophet ﷺ said that if a wife makes the husband angry, then the angels, they curse the wife for the full night. The hadith. So there's a situation when a person came to me. There was a Muslim brother who had a married life for several years. And he said that my wife doesn't listen to me. Having sex is one of the aspects. She makes me angry, so surely she'll go to hell. So I said that I do agree with the hadith. And he quoted the hadith that if the wife doesn't keep the husband happy, then the angels curse the wife for the full night. I said, what do you realize that it's a two-way traffic? It's, as I quoted the verse of the Quran today, before I started the session, of Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 187, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. That they are your garments and you are the garments. Your wife are your garments and you are the garments of the wife. It's not only one way. So both should understand each other well. I told that Muslim brother that see, the criteria to go to Jannah is that it is in your hands. So he's telling that my wife will surely go to hell. So I said, why? The hadith says that if the wife makes the husband angry, then the angels will curse the wife. You don't get angry, then why will the angels curse the wife? So for your wife, go to Jannah, it's in your hands. And if you do sabr, one of the criteria to go to Jannah is sabr. According to Surah Asr, chapter number 103, verse number 1 to 3, Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa allazina amanu, wa amilu salihati, wa tawasaw except those who have faith, those who do righteous deeds, those who exhort people to truth, and those who exhort people to patience and perseverance. So one of the criteria to go to Jannah is sabr. So if you don't have sabr, you will go to hell, and you're putting your wife also in hell. So if you are a good husband, and you are compassionate, you do sabr, no problem. Maybe she's very tired, or she's not in the mood. It's once in a blue moon. So you do sabr, so you don't get angry. The angel will not curse her. Inshallah, she'll go to Jannah. If you are doing sabr, you will go to Jannah. So you are paving the path of your way to Jannah and your wife's way to Jannah. If you get angry, then maybe the angels will curse your wife, and you are not doing sabr, so you will pay your way to hell. So it's a dual role. Husband and wife's role are like hand and glove. So the question of rape is not there at all in the Islamic picture, in some point of view. But the compassionate is there. Because the beloved Prophet ﷺ said that the best moment is the person who is the best to his family, especially the wife. So it is a give and take. It's not one-way traffic, what do you call it. Anyway, rape is not the case. But you should be considerate and you should be compassionate. Imagine if you're not in the mood and the wife falls, what will happen then? If today you're not in the mood, you're very tired, you come from office, wife says, let's enjoy, and you say, so then. So she should have sabr. There's no hadith saying that the wife is angry, the angel will curse the husband. Fine, that's there. But if you're not a good husband, wife will tell. Our beloved Prophet said that a person who is good to his family, he's not a good moment, you're not a good moment. The wife says, fine, the person did overtime in the office, he's come home late, I may have a desire, but you should realize that it is good to me. So it's a give and take. Normally people think it's a one-way traffic. I'm husband, so we are the boss. Therefore the Quran says in Surah Nisa chapter 4, verse number 34, that Ar-Rijalu Qawwamun An-Nisa, that the men are the qawwam of the women. Qawwam doesn't mean 1 degree of superiority, 1 degree of authority. It means 1 degree of additional responsibility. Because the verse continues that Allah has given more strength to the man as compared to the woman. So it is in supporting. It's not in 1 degree of bossing over the wife. So hope that answers the question. Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother Zakir, Jazakallah, you've given beautiful talks on women's rights in Islam in English and Urdu, and you also have written a book. Do you plan in future to give a talk on men's rights and responsibilities in Islam? Because I feel it's equally important that we know about our rights and responsibilities. On the face of it, it only appears that women have got all the rights and men have got all the responsibilities.
I do agree with you. After people hearing my talk on women's right, many of the gents say, what about men's right? Because they see everything is one-sided. See, the reason why I gave a talk on women's right, because the women are being maligned. Gents in Islam, mashallah, they're on the top. Though it's not right, they're on the top superficially. So that's the reason we have the marriage preparatory course now for gents. Inshallah, in future, in my agenda, it is not on top priority because we have so many other lectures which I want to research and give because the media is against. If I give a talk on men's rights, it should be given, I'm not disagreeing with it. But whether the top on the agenda, not on my agenda, but there are other people, inshallah, will be giving. But that's a requirement, inshallah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Forever be true. Cherish this life that's destined for you. Live your life with kindness and care. Remember, Allah will always be there, be there. Nikahun mubarakun, zawajun mubarakun, قال النبي هو الصحيح نكاح مبارك نكاح مبارك زواج